In today's video, we journey back in time to uncover the secrets of the past. Welcome to a story written in the sands of history. William the Conqueror, circa 1028 to 1087, the Duke who became king. Early life and origins, circa 1028 to 1035. William was born around the year 1028 in Falaise, Normandy, a duchy in northern France. His father was Robert I, Duke of Normandy, and his mother was Herleva, or Arlette, the daughter of a local tanner or possibly a lower noble. William was an illegitimate child, hence often referred to as William the Bastard during his early years. Despite this, Robert acknowledged him as his heir before departing on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land in 1035, where he died unexpectedly. This left the young William as the Duke of Normandy at about 7 years old. As a child ruler in a feudal society rife with violence and intrigue, William's position was perilous. Numerous noble families challenged his legitimacy and authority. Between 1035 and 1047, Normandy descended into near-anarchy. Several guardians appointed to protect him were murdered. However, William survived these early dangers and began to exert control in his teens. 2. Consolidation of power in Normandy, 1047 to 1060. In 1047, William, with the support of his overlord King Henry I of France, decisively crushed a major rebellion of Norman barons at the Battle of Falaise. This victory marked a turning point. Over the next decade, William systematically subdued rebellious vassals, reinforced central authority, and reorganized the Norman aristocracy. His leadership was characterized by a combination of ruthless pragmatism and strategic marriages. In the early 1050s, William married Matilda of Flanders, daughter of Count Baldwin V of Flanders, creating an alliance with one of the most powerful families in northern Europe. Despite initial papal resistance to the union, the marriage proved successful, producing at least 9 children, including 4 sons, Robert Curthose, Richard, William Rufus, and Henry, later Henry I of England. By 1060, William was a powerful and respected duke, having transformed the Norman duchy into a centralized, militarized state with a loyal vassal network and a thriving economy. 3. Claim to the English throne, 1060 to 1066. The death of the English King Edward the Confessor in January 1066 triggered a succession crisis. Edward had died childless, and multiple claimants emerged. Harold Godwin's son, the most powerful English noble and brother-in-law to Edward, was quickly crowned king by the Witenagemot, the English council. William of Normandy, who claimed that Edward had promised him the throne in 1051 and that Harold had sworn to support his claim during a visit to Normandy in 1064. Harold Hardrada, King of Norway, who based his claim on an earlier agreement between previous kings. William was furious when Harold seized the throne. He sent envoys to Pope Alexander II, seeking support for his claim. The Pope's blessing, symbolized by a consecrated banner, gave William's cause the appearance of a holy war and helped him gather allies. To prepare for the invasion, William assembled a large fleet and army. He promised land and titles in England to his Norman and continental supporters, drawing knights from Brittany, Flanders, and elsewhere. 4. The Norman Conquest, 1066. In September 1066, England faced a two-front threat. Harold Hardrada, allied with Harold's brother Tostig, invaded from the north. Harold Godwin's son defeated them at the Battle of Stamford Bridge near York on September 25, a victory that came at great cost. Just days later, William landed on the southern coast of England at Pevensey on September 28. Harold's force marched his army south, arriving exhausted. On October 14, 1066, the two armies met at the Battle of Hastings. The battle lasted all day. William's forces included cavalry, archers, and infantry, while Harold's army relied heavily on the shield wall. William's tactics, including feigned retreats, eventually broke the English lines. Harold was killed, legend says, by an arrow to the eye, and his army scattered. William's victory was complete. After a brief resistance in London, William was crowned King of England on December 25, 1066, at Westminster Abbey. v. Establishing control over England, 1066 to 1070. Though crowned king, William's rule was far from secure. Between 1066 and 1070, he faced multiple uprisings. 1067 to 1068, revolts in Kent, the Welsh border, and by northern English lords. 1069, a Danish fleet landed in the north, supporting local rebels. William responded with brutal efficiency. His harshest response came during the harrying of the north, 1069 to 1070, where Norman forces devastated northern England, burning villages, slaughtering livestock, and causing widespread famine. Thousands died. Though criticized, this scorched earth campaign broke resistance. To reward his followers and ensure loyalty, William systematically redistributed English lands. By 1086, only a handful of Anglo-Saxon nobles retained their estates. The new ruling class, mostly Norman and French, established castles across the country, including the Tower of London, as symbols of dominance. 6. Governance and administration. William introduced feudalism more rigidly into England, linking landholding with military service and loyalty. The tenants-in-chief, nobles who held land directly from the king, swore fealty to William alone, consolidating his control. Despite being illiterate, William was an efficient and inquisitive administrator. In 1085, he ordered the Domesday Survey, completed in 1086. The resulting Domesday Book recorded an extraordinary level of detail about landholding, resources, population, and taxation, unparalleled in medieval Europe. William ruled both England and Normandy but spent more time in his native duchy. He appointed regents, often churchmen like Lanfranc, Archbishop of Canterbury, to govern in his absence. He strengthened the English Church by replacing Anglo-Saxon bishops with Normans, enforcing clerical celibacy, and aligning more closely with papal reformers. Yet, he also resisted papal interference, asserting royal authority over the Church in England. 7. Rebellions and challenges. Though he crushed English resistance, William faced challenges from within his own family and among his Norman vassals. 1075, the revolt of the Earls, led by Norman and Anglo-Norman nobles, was defeated. 1077 to 1080, conflict arose with his eldest son Robert Curthose, who felt denied power and wealth. Robert rebelled, supported by King Philip I of France. William eventually reconciled with his son, but the tension persisted. William also engaged in intermittent warfare with neighboring France and the Counts of Anjou and Maine. Normandy remained a contested frontier throughout his life. 8. Death and succession, 1087. In 1087, while warring in France, William sacked the town of Mantes. During the campaign, he was thrown from his horse and suffered internal injuries. He was taken to Rouen, where he lingered for several weeks. William died on September 9, 1087, at about 59 years old. His death was as chaotic as his rise, his attendants fled, and his body was left unattended for hours. At his burial in Saint-Étienne, Caen, the ceremony was disrupted, and the tomb proved too small, requiring a hasty adjustment. William's territories were divided. Robert Curthose inherited Normandy. William Rufus, William II, received England. Henry, the youngest son, was given money but no land, though he would eventually seize the throne in 1100. 9. Legacy and impact. William the Conqueror's impact on England and Western Europe was immense. 1. Political and social transformation. The Norman conquest radically altered England's aristocracy, language, law, and culture. The Anglo-Saxon elite was replaced by Norman French lords. French became the language of the court, government, and law, blending with Old English to form Middle English. Feudalism took firmer root, and centralized royal power grew. William's reforms laid the groundwork for the English monarchy's long-term strength. 2. Church reform. William's reign marked a new era of ecclesiastical alignment with continental reform movements. He replaced Anglo-Saxon bishops, imposed stricter discipline, and strengthened ties to Rome, though he guarded royal authority over the Church. 3. Doomsday Book. The Doomsday Book remains one of the most remarkable administrative documents of the Middle Ages. It provided a detailed snapshot of England's economy, helping organize taxation and asserting control. 4. Legacy in Normandy. In Normandy, William's reign strengthened ducal power and elevated the duchy to a major European player. However, his death divided his lands, sowing seeds of conflict among his sons. 5. Long-term Anglo-Norman rule. The dynasty William founded would rule England until the death of King Stephen in 1154. Even after, his legacy persisted under the Plantagenets, descendants of the Norman line. The tensions between England and France, rooted in William's dual rulership, eventually contributed to centuries of conflict, including the 100 Years' War. Historical assessment. Historians regard William as one of the most successful and formidable rulers of the medieval era. He was a skilled military commander, a shrewd statesman, and a ruthless pragmatist. Yet, his reign was also marked by brutality, especially in campaigns like the Harrying of the North. To some, he was a foreign conqueror, to others, a unifier and modernizer. Above all, William reshaped England. The changes he set in motion, linguistic, cultural, administrative, still echo today. Conclusion. William the Conqueror, born of uncertain origins, became not only a duke but also the king of a foreign land. His conquest in 1066 was a turning point in English history. Through war, reform, and administration, William forged a new Anglo-Norman identity that defined medieval England. His story is one of ambition, resilience, and lasting legacy.